Bookcase and Coffee presents Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance.
Hey everyone, welcome to a quick shot of romance. I am Becky, and joining me for this episode of A Quick Shot of Romance is podcast contributor Rachel. Hi, Rachel.
Hey, Becky.
I'm not sure how many times I could say quick shot of romance there, but I did. A couple of them. So, for this episode, we are reviewing Stay Over by Kaylee Ryan. This is book one in the Kincade brothers. Sort of book one. I question it being called book one because there is a novella that is out that's a prequel. And then the prequel, Never With Me, which we did, Carolina and I did a quick shot on, and I really loved that book.
Yeah, it was like a standalone that this spun on, I guess.
Yeah, well, but it doesn't really stand alone because we have Palmer. She's the best friend in Never With Me.
That's true. I do think that could probably be like truly book one of the series, but she's not a brother, so I guess.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Okay.
I love that one too.
It is a top read of 2022 for me. And we talked about that in that quick shot. There was such care in that book. And I liked this one too. I'm really excited to talk about this one. Okay. So read the synopsis from Goodreads.
Brooks. Overhearing my cousin's best friend confessing that she's never been satisfied wasn't my fault, but offering to help her change that definitely was. Her brother is a friend of mine, and while this has a bad idea written all over it, it doesn't stop us from becoming friends with benefits. Palmer is gorgeous, off limits, and stubborn as hell. For the first time, I'm the one left wanting more. I'm tired of watching her walk away. I'm ready for her to stay. Palmer. I never dreamed having my crush overhear my most embarrassing confession would land me in his bed, or that I would want to stay there. But our secret relationship has rules. No strings, no expectations, no feelings. What's that saying about rules? Oh yeah, they're meant to be broken. But when it comes to Brooks, I'm afraid if I'm one to walk away, it won't be just the rules broken.
So the release date on this is September 13th of 2022. This is a small town, siblings, best friend, friends with benefits, girl next door. This is book one in the Kincade brothers series. It is a series of standalones, and the put out percentage is 34%. And this will be spoiler free since we're still within the first month of the book releasing. So let's talk about Palmer because she is feisty and I love her.
Yes, I loved her too. And I loved her in Never With Me. I was hoping she would get a book. And then by the end of that, it was like pretty clear that she was going to get a book. So I was super, super ready to read Stay Over because Palmer just has such a great personality. She's someone you would want to be friends with yourself. And like you said, she's just so feisty.
Well, and she's charismatic too. I look at how, she kind of is the kid sister. She's the little sister of three, but, she's also, her brother was best friends with the Kincade boys. And so she's kind of always just been the little kid hanging around. But they all are drawn to her. As you get her interactions and you see her with the Kincaid's mom and with her own siblings, they just all want to be around her and spend time with her.
Yes. And even though she's, 10 years younger than her older brother, it didn't seem like anyone ever thought she was just like this annoying hang around. Like, even when she was a little kid, everyone loved her. She was never that annoying little sibling.
No, and one of the things that was really a very key piece in this book is both Palmer and Brooks are hard workers. Palmer's a photographer and she's trying to get her studio up off the ground, and she spends a lot of time taking pictures, cultivating her clientele, working in the studio, working on her photographs. And I really felt like that was a really dynamic piece in her personality.
Yes, I completely agree with that. She was almost like a workaholic, but not quite to that extent. It's just how much she cared about her work and being successful in what she did.
So let's talk about Brooks because he's pretty phenomenal and damn, he's sexy.
I know. Just, I feel like Kaylee Ryan writes the best heroes. Like, I love all of them so much. And Brooks, it's like every time I read one of her books, one gets knocked out of the top three
Yeah.
because the new guy is up there.
Well, he was super swoony. And so Brooks has kind of a non traditional male role. He is a nurse, he specializes in pediatric ER. And there's a reason for that because he had a brother that was ill and spent a lot of time in the hospital, and he met a male nurse, and that just had a huge impact on how he went forward. But Brooks is like a caregiver, but he is as much a workaholic as Palmer is.
Definitely. He was always talking about like taking extra shifts. And what I loved is he wasn't like taking the extra shifts for money. He was taking them to help out workers who maybe had a sick kid or they were going on vacation with their family. And his idea was that, he didn't have anyone to go home to really, he lived alone. So he was hoping that, he could ease that burden for his coworkers. And then in the future, they'd keep that in mind when he did have someone at home or have a family.
So, and one of the dynamic pieces in this story is the fact that it is small town and everybody knows everybody's business. So it's small town Georgia, Willow River. And I only know that because we did a small town episode. And so Palmer was very concerned about people finding out that she was spending time with Brooks.
Yes, I love that he could never like stay at her house. They always had to stay at his, and she parked in the garage.
Well, or
He picked her up.
He picked her up, or she had to they left the same place at the same time, and it was always covert. And when they went on dates, so that's something that we don't always see with friends with benefit type romances is they actually do date. But they leave town to date.
Yes, they had to go a couple towns over, so hopefully no one would see them, which I was like, this is too much. But I mean, I believe it. If you're trying to keep a secret in a small town, that's what you have to do.
Sometimes that is, yeah. Well, and they go to the food trucks 2 towns over, and she, as the book moves forward, there's a time when she goes by herself and they run into each other. It's just, there's just these little moments with them like that you get the sense of how interlocking their lives are.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I really liked how they grew up together, but they weren't close enough in age to where he would see her as a little kid. But they also weren't far enough apart. They were 6 years, I think.
Well, it was enough of a gap that he saw her grow up, but they didn't really there was never a missed connection in high school, or this was definitely
right.
This relationship really, she had a crush on him, but there was a freshness to it. It wasn't a sometimes friends with benefits can be friends with lovers,
love, anything like that.
Yeah, it was never that. And so let's talk about all these brothers, because there's 6 of them?
9.
Nine brothers.
There's 9 brothers.
Okay.
Like,
But
could you imagine?
no, no, no. I had 2 brothers and I have 1 son. No, no. Um, gosh, that poor mama.
No.
God love her. Uh, um,
I know, that was my first thought. That was my first thought.
but these brothers are dynamic and they're in each other's lives. Even the younger 2. There's a really funny scene at the cousin's wedding, which is where they kind of initially hook up. Or is it the engagement party? And the 2 youngest are
Engagement party, I think.
and the 2 youngest are dancing with the no, I think it's the wedding, and they're dancing with kind of the town flirt. She's a little older than the boys. And the brothers are like, "Yeah, you go get him tighter."
Yes.
And their poor mother. Like,
yes, I love that scene.
That was so funny. I was laughing because
I know.
there was also some sexiness between Palmer and Brooks in that moment too, where the only way he could touch her was to dance with her, which I kind of liked that.
Yes, I love that interaction because she seemed so surprised by it too, that he like wanted to dance with her.
Right. And so I'm excited for the next Brothers book. I think it's the single dad who has a daughter who's adorable, who I like how they wove her into this story too. Because she got time with the girls, even though all she has is uncles.
Yes. Yes, that was so special because you could tell the little girl just absolutely loved it.
Oh, she ate it up. She loved it. One of the things that I really like with this book, and I've noticed this, Kaylee Ryan does not do the over-the-top brother reaction to the brother's best friend romances. And I love that.
I love that.
Now, I will say she does do the over-the-top protective dad, especially with her baseball series. He's a little much to take. But she doesn't do it with the brothers. I do too. It's so funny. I think it's so funny. But she doesn't do that with the brothers. And there just seems to be this respect amongst all the siblings.
Yes, and I like when the brother doesn't get so mad because I'm like, if the guy's so bad, why are you friends with him? Like, chill out. Take a minute.
Right. Like, if he's your friend, wouldn't he be good enough for every aspect of your life, not just, to go to the bar and drink? Anyway.
Exactly.
Okay, so Rachel, did you like this book?
Yes, I love this book. I can't wait for this series.
I agree. I loved this book. I really enjoyed it. I'm excited and anticipating the next book in the series. Who would typically like this book, do you think?
I think if you like family series, small town, brother's best friend, like really, if you like contemporary romance, I think you should give this book a shot. Kaylee Ryan does contemporary romance really well.
She does. And she does these family series really well. They stand on their own, but they are great as a group read, and they're very well written and very well thought out with really dynamic, memorable characters. Okay. Would you recommend this book?
Yes, I definitely recommend this book. It's one of my favorite Kaylee Ryan books, really.
Yeah, I agree. I just finished her Riggins Family, and there's the last one in that book that I just adored. It's a single mom romance, and it's really, really well done.
Yes.
So, yes, this might be one of my favorites, but also Never With Me was pretty freaking dynamic. So I'm a fan of Kaylee Ryan. She is a newer to me author.
So good.
And I highly recommend that everyone check her out. So for more exclusive content, including short reviews, and if you should read it, join us over on patreon.com/bookcaseandcoffee. And do you have a book you think we should review for a quick shot of romance? Send us an email to thebees@bookcaseandcoffee.com. Rachel, thank you so much for joining me for this quick shot of romance.
Thanks for having me, Becky.
Until next time, everyone, happy reading.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.